As anticipated, College Football 27 has a new patch that is dropping, announced to drop on Thursday, the 16th, but they've already unveiled the patch notes, and a breakdown of some of the things that will be talked about in these patch notes will be Dynasty design philosophy, Dynasty updates, which include Coach XP speed settings, Dynasty recruiting updates, Road to Glory progression and XP sliders, which includes edge position battle progression, and the last bullet point being gameplay, which includes defensive package reset during hurry up offense, as well as switch stick input delay. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Dynasty design philosophy. It says, Dynasty blueprint is the core difference between College Football 26 and College Football 27. Coming out of College Football 26, one of the clearest pieces of feedback was that rebuilds could become too easy too quickly. Dynasty Blueprint was built to create a deeper, more challenging simulation where long-term building and sustaining a program requires more than stacking wins. That means coach progression had to support the full blueprint experience. Coach level is not a legacy score. It is not a direct reflection of wins and losses. Coach levels give you coach points, and coach points are how you choose which skill trees and perks to focus on throughout your career. In College Football 25, the max coach level was 50. Many players reached that cap early in their career arc, which left them with no additional levels to work towards and no additional coach points to earn. In College Football 26, we expanded the cap to 100 based on that feedback. Level 75 became roughly equivalent to a maxed College Football 25 coach in terms of abilities owned, with 25 additional levels added as an in-game progression. They go on to say that structure continues in College Football 27. The goal is not for every coach to quickly reach level 100. The goal is to give players more years of meaningful coach point decisions across a 20 to 30 year career. The fastest way to advance your coach is to lean into your active coach archetype perk and advance into higher tier archetypes. Each archetype tier rewards more XP, so moving from base archetypes into elite, hybrid, program builder, and CEO paths can significantly accelerate your growth. Your staff matters too. You share in XP earned when other coaches on your staff trigger their active archetype perk, making coordinator hires and staff strengths a key part of coach progression. Your accomplishments on the field still matter. Meeting goals and performing at a high level all contribute to progression. But coach progression is about demonstrating mastery through the systems that define your coach: archetype, staff, skill trees, program building decisions, and long-term results. Some abilities can also increase XP gains or reduce ability costs based on your staff, making those decisions another part of your long-term progression strategy. College Football 27 also has annual contract payouts as another way to earn coach points. These payouts scale based on your coach level, prestige, success, and the size of your school. Contract extensions from your current school can increase that payout, creating another meaningful coach carousel decision. Even at level 100, you cannot unlock every perk, an intentional choice, as no coach can be great at everything, and every decision should matter. Dynasty Blueprint is built around that idea. Your coach, your staff, your school resources, your recruiting strategy, your AD expectations, your program goals, and your long-term decisions all work together. There is no single solved path to building a great program. So now we actually start getting into the updates, Dynasty updates. So let's talk about Coach XP speed settings. While that long-term arc remains important to the design of Dynasty, we want to reiterate the immediate changes coming to Dynasty. In the next title update, we are updating our Coach XP speed settings based on feedback. Going forward, we will replace the current sliders with 3 new settings. The 3 new Coach XP settings are as follows: Career, which is actually an authentic long-term progression at 1 times XP. This is actually equivalent to the previous College Football 27 default setting and is best for players who want the full Dynasty Blueprint experience, where every coach point and coaching decision carries more weight across the life of a dynasty. Then there is Simulation, which is a balanced coach progression at 1.25 times XP. This is best for players who want a realistic pace while still progressing their coach at a faster rate. Then there is Casual, which is fastest coach progression at 1.5 times XP. This is equivalent to the faster setting from College Football 26 and is best for players who want to unlock abilities quickly and accelerate coach growth. So real quick, before I go on any further, it appears that the original fastest setting isn't there. So the fastest setting that they do have would have been considered the faster setting from College Football 26. So the original fastest setting isn't there. So they didn't give us that back, but they did take microtransactions out of the game. So it's not like they are forcing us to use their microtransactions to make up for not having the original fastest setting. So they have a dev note here that says these new settings will take effect in existing dynasties. Coach XP speed settings will be available in both online and offline dynasty. In online dynasty, league commissioners will control the Coach XP speed setting for the entire league. So they start elaborating on their reasoning behind not bringing back the fastest coach setting, which they say, as we looked at player feedback, our goal was to provide more flexibility in coach progression without compromising the long-term progression that Dynasty Blueprint is designed to deliver. Coach XP speed settings apply to every coach in Dynasty, including CPU coaches. When progression moves too quickly, too many coaches reach high-end abilities too early. Elite programs separate even faster, and the systems that define Dynasty Blueprint start to matter less. Coach archetypes, staff building, recruiting, AD expectations, school resources, coach points, and long-term programs. That is why fastest is not returning. The new Coach XP speed settings are designed to give players more control over progression pace while preserving the long-term balance of Dynasty Blueprint. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comment section about that. Is that a viable reason for them not to bring back the fastest setting? You guys let me know. Now we move along to Dynasty recruiting updates. It says we are making several tuning adjustments and fixes to improve recruiting balance across Dynasty in our title update this week, which would include adjusted recruiting tuning to improve how CPU controlled teams compete for highly rated recruits, improved how CPU teams prioritize and retain recruits after extending offers. And then it also says we have tuned late cycle recruiting scenarios that could leave some recruits without viable offers. And a dev note here says we wanted to dive deeper into this change. This will be a two-part fix, with the first part going in tomorrow and the second in a future title update. You may still see some recruits not have offers, but you should see a significant reduction in how many are available. Also, Dev Insight says changes should be seen immediately when you log back into your Dynasty. However, full changes from this update will be more evident in your next season or a new Dynasty. So they also adjusted recruiting balance to better reflect expected recruiting distributions and adjusted offseason player progression to increase across the board. And the dev note here is this will result in more players being 90 overall or higher as you get deeper into your dynasties. And dev insight on this is we will have a second update that will come in a future title update that further adjusts this to further improve recruiting generation and player progression. And they say we also wanted to give you a quick preview of what is coming in a future major title update that we wanted to get your eyes on. So it says fixed an issue where recruits being pursued by Hawaii could incorrectly receive an F grade for proximity to home. Fixed an issue where a player's risk of transfer bar could display incorrectly after making a valid NIL offer when the player's correct NIL valuation was more than double their expectation. And recruiting budget tuning for schools. So now let's get into Road to Glory progression and XP sliders. So standalone XP sliders are not returning to Road to Glory because progression in College Football 27 is now built around the full structure of the mode. Difficulty, weekly decisions, fitness, NIL deals, wear and tear, legacy score, scholarship bonuses, and on-field performance. The weekly agenda is tuned around the full player management loop in College Football 27. Fitness and leadership both impact how quickly you earn progression XP, giving players more control over growth across the season. Keeping those meters high can accelerate progression, while letting them drop can slow it down. Road to Glory also places more weight on difficulty, rewarding players who take on the greater challenge. Wear and tear is another core part of that balance. When wear and tear is turned off, one of the mode's progression challenges is removed, so the XP modifier adjusts with it. Again, y'all let me know y'all thoughts and feedback in the comment section on that. Turning wear and tear progression off can actually remove one of the progression settings. Interesting. So difficulty is also a progression lever. Throwing for 500 yards on freshmen and throwing for 500 yards on Heisman are different accomplishments, and College Football 27 rewards those accomplishments differently. Higher difficulty creates higher progression opportunities because the challenge is greater, but players can still reach max rating on freshmen over the course of their career. We've also seen the feedback that Road to Glory players can start at a lower overall than they did in College Football 26. That is intentional and tied to how progression is now paced across the full career. College Football 27 adds annual scholarship bonuses to create more offseason progression, with bonuses paying out each year instead of progression being concentrated only at the start of your career or week to week. Playing through high school also matters because skipping high school means skipping that first year progression modifier. Your starting point may look different, but this does not lower what your player can ultimately become. Road to Glory also uses overall ceilings tied to legacy score. Increasing your legacy score by proving yourself on the field is part of raising your player's long-term ceiling. It says, we will continue to evaluate Road to Glory progression over time and make tuning adjustments where needed. The core structure, however, is intentional and the foundation of Road to Glory moving forward. Next up, it says the following was addressed in this title update for Road to Glory. Edge position battle progression. Addressed an issue where edge players in Road to Glory could fail to trigger position battles required to advance on the depth chart. Dev note here says we have an additional fix planned for next week's update that should fully resolve this issue. So it appears they actually have another immediate update coming next week. Dev insight, we recommend if you are encountering this issue to transfer to another school until next week's update is available. Yikes. Another dev note on that. Thank you to everyone who continued sending reports and feedback on this issue. Those details help the team track down the specific cases where position battles were not triggering properly. The team will continue to monitor feedback around this situation to make sure that this is working as we intended. We are also tracking an issue where some players are unable to apply cap breakers in Road to Glory. We plan to have a fix for this in an upcoming title update, so stay tuned. Next, they speak on updates to gameplay. It says this title update includes gameplay stability fixes as we continue to gather and evaluate player feedback. We are also targeting another gameplay focused update for next week, which includes fixes for the following: defensive package reset during hurry up offense. Fixed an issue where a custom defensive package selected by the defensive user would not persist if the offense immediately ran hurry up or no huddle offense. Switch stick input delay. Fixed an issue where switch stick could sometimes feel delayed when quickly swapping to different players. And that is the final bullet point for everything that you should expect in this week's update coming tomorrow on the 16th. So y'all let me know y'all thoughts and feedback in the comment section. As always, if you're here for the first time or you're returning and you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. Click that notification tab so you can stay up to speed with more College Football 27 content as well as other sports gaming content. Again, I appreciate you all for tuning in. That's been my time. Till next time. Peace.